Okay.
Go ahead and ask an audio question, and whoever got the answer, go ahead and let it go.
I use the earbuds, the earbuds, just the older ones. Wait a minute, I got to turn the voiceover off. The ones that you plug in by USB to keep them charged. They're in a little case. But I use them, and they've been working beautifully. I'm doing Amadeus, and I'm just doing the basic editing out stuff that I don't want. And what happened all of a sudden is that the voiceover words are coming into my AirPods, but the actual recording that I'm trying to edit is coming out of the Mac. How something got screwed up, and how do I fix it so that everything's coming back into my AirPods?
Sounds like you switched your audio source in Amadeus.
So where do I go? What do I look at?
The
just did it.
preferences, sound, and then pick your source where you want your sounds to come from. So you would go to, you would want your output. You'd want to select your output under the sounds tab and make sure your earbuds or whatever your AirPods is called to come out of. That's what you want.
Okay. See, I get even confused with output, input. I'm still really new here. Okay, output.
My rule of thumb is if I don't know what it does, I leave it alone.
Yeah. All right. So I will check that. And then I had a second question. I'm working on this audio right now, and it's like 2 hours long. So it's like 2 hours long. And so when I push down the right arrow to advance it, if I have to stop, for the day and go back to it the next day, is the only way, where it's going?
You want to get back. You want to get back to where you stopped editing.
Yeah, I bet it has to do with that go-to, right?
It does, but first you have to figure out where you are, and the best way to do that is Command Y. That's going to move your playhead to your insertion point. Then you'll push the Command G for go, and listen to what the coordinates are. So if it's 45 minutes and 33 seconds, and I think it does milliseconds, I never pay attention to that. Then that's where you would go. That's where you would, make a note of that. Okay. 45 seconds to 45 minutes to 33 seconds. So when you open it back up, you can just hit Command G and go to that spot again. But remember,
awesome.
When you do Command G and punch in where you want to go, after you hit Enter, you have to push Command Shift Y to bring your header there. Otherwise, if you hit Command G, put it in the coordinates, hit Enter, and just push spacebar, it's gonna start from the beginning. You have to tell it to go there. If Fission has improved any, because Amadeus does what I needed to do, so I haven't even played with it yet. I know some people who use it like you, but I don't.
I haven't used Fission since I got my Mac, but I have it. It's licensed. It's working. I just haven't had the need, though. I do have a file that I do want to edit, and I might just try it on Fission and see if I can do what I want it to do. It does. It usually does. I teach myself how to use it every time I use it, because that's how often I use it. Not very. And it's just, you have
like
to
a basic program. I want to play around with a little. I want to play with it a little bit, because Amadeus and Reaper allow you to do a lot of things, and I don't know if Fission allows you to do those things. So, because
what do you want to do?
Well, I know how to do it in Fission or Amadeus, so I'm not even.
Yeah. So what do you want to do in Fission? And I may be able to tell you if you can do it.
You can paste over a track to create background music. You can duck the track so it's quieter. So if I'm playing music and you're talking, you're louder than the music, but you can still hear the music. I can add in sound effects after I've already edited. I can you can bounce it to a new track, so you can have 3 simultaneous tracks going at the same time and get the time frame, so you know where to bounce or where to cut something out of a certain clip, but you want to make it run continuously running with the other tracks still. So there's a lot of flexibility that Amadeus Pro gives you. I can't speak for Reaper. I have the files, I have the tutorials, I just haven't dove into it yet, but people say that you can do that over. To me, Reaper is a program that does a lot more stuff than I need it for. So
well, to my knowledge, and like I said, I don't use Fission often. I don't think it's a multi-track program. Yeah, and I welcome anybody to correct me on that, but I have never looked through it to make it multi-track. I have never needed it for that.
One thing I can say though is that it isn't multi-track, but if you know how to do basic GarageBand editing, you can use Fission. And the only thing is that you can't hear the different clips as you move through them. So it's better to do an edit, delete what you don't need, and once you're done with everything, delete all the clips, the splits that you've done, and then you save everything.
You can play those clips though as you go through. You just have to play them. You have to make them. They don't play automatically, but you can definitely play the clips.
Oh, is there a way to do that?
Yeah, you just hit play once you're on the clip that you want. You move to that clip and then hit play.
Okay, because I was talking to them.
Space bar.
Okay, because I emailed them and they said no. Because I asked them that if they can make that a bit more accessible, because with GarageBand you can move through them and each one have their own play button, dedicated preview feature or something.
Yeah, no, it's the clip is whatever clip you're focusing on. So if it's the whole file, it's the whole file. If it's one of the clips that you've cut off, you just have to move to the clip, and I think it's command left bracket or command right. I can't remember what it's like. I said, I teach myself the keystrokes and everything every time I need to use it. And I can't remember what the how to get back and forth. It might be just left arrow, right arrow, but whatever it is, to go to the next clip, yes, you can play it and figure out if it's what you wanted. It doesn't do it automatically, no. Wish it did, but it doesn't.
Well, if you want to know something about loopback, Farrago, or Audio Hijack, I'm your dude. But Fission, I have no interest in. So
I love Audio Hijack. That's my favorite program, I think, of every program I own.
it's probably a tie between them and Farrago for me, because I love Soundboard. I love being able to insert sounds automatically and not have to go back and do it. Speaking of which, Mary, come on in here, because you've been asking about Audio Hijack for the last week. So let's see if we can get some of your questions answered.
Well, I haven't really done anything in the last few days. I was trying to learn how to use it and practicing on things like, doing a YouTube video, even though, that's easier in Downy. But what I want to eventually do is use it I've got a bunch of albums and CDs and things like that are not on Apple Music that I kind of want to copy.
Oh, what you would do, I mean, you said, you saying album, so I'm assuming you're talking about vinyl.
A lot of them are vinyl.
Okay.
There might be some CDs too, but mostly vinyl, because when I was getting all of that stuff, that's what
I
they
would
had.
just import your CDs. I wouldn't bother using Audio.
That's true. I don't really need to.
I've been seeing a lot of USB record players now, so if you can just
they're out there.
USB-C to USB.
There used to be a lot of them, but some of them weren't very good. But I think they're better than they used to be.
I think everything is worth digitizing, because you never know what might get lost or scratched or stolen or anything. So
I just don't have the energy of motivation.
Stuff also comes and goes on Apple Music. I guess it has to do with the contracts they have or don't have with artists.
Yeah, if they want to shell out some of that $3 trillion and actually pay for some real music, then we might get some. But
well, I've got a DJ. Got DJ turntables, so.
Oh, do you? Okay, how much did that go for?
I've got them so long already. It's quite expensive. They're quite heavy. It's the motor is strong enough so that when you turn the record backwards, that the wheel keeps going forward.
Emilio, I was talking to him the other day about Audio Hijack. I wish his audio was working so he'd come here.
I noticed he had no audio.
He said with Audio Hijack, Mary, the key is put your stuff in backwards. I've never tried it that way. I've always cheated. I just grab a template and then rearrange it. But he said if you want to set up a blank session the way that you want, put everything in backwards. So whatever that needs to be last, put that in
Oh,
first, and whatever needs
yeah.
going first, put that in last. That way, you don't have to worry about moving those blocks around because
That's brilliant.
Oh, you mean so you don't have to keep scooting things over to the left?
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly,
that's
because
brilliant.
those blocks can get confusing, especially in audio
yes.
hijack. So
Yeah, they
That's
can. I mean, I
absolutely
cheated.
brilliant.
Last week I sort of cheated and used the prefab.
hell, that ain't
Template,
cheating. They
but-
put them
The
there for a
settings
reason.
are good. I mean, the
Well, the
sections
one
are
I
good.
used the one that you can use for doing a for recording something off of the web. That's why I wanted to start with
Yeah,
a
yeah.
stir it up thing, just because that's there.
But
You can
have
get to
to
an
be
easy
careful.
success.
Yeah, you have to be careful because some of the defaults, like the default on the MP3, I think it's on the MP3 encoder, the default is to capture the internal audio as well. So you need to go through all of those, like
I don't think it
VO
is.
space.
It,
I don't
it
think-
wasn't.
I
was
It
about to
wasn't.
say, I
don't
when
think
it
that-
didn't capture voiceover.
Yeah, I
Any
was
of
about to say, I don't
stuff.
think that one
Good,
is. That one's
okay.
specifically designed for a
It didn't-
browser, and you select what browser you're going to be using. And I think it's under
No.
the application audio, not system audio. So
Is
that's
it-
what makes the difference.
Right, you go to that's. I'm sorry, I went to application. I didn't pick that web one. I did application and just picked Safari out of it.
Okay, that's that. And you say you don't know what you're doing. That's actually a good thing to do.
There was a podcast about this around Christmas on Accessibility, where a guy went through it was. Was that- what's that guy's name? Yes, they are, and
Oh.
they don't usually do demos, but they had a long time and they
I'd
didn't
like
want.
to hear
So the
that
guy,
one to see if it's any
Yeah.
different than the one that Alex Hall did. Yeah, if you listen
You
to
know,
the one that I have in the folder, the shared folder.
I haven't done that one yet, but I saw it.
Yeah,
and
listen to the one by Alex Hall because he walks you through. He
he does.
He holds
Yeah.
your hand through that one. It's all the way back to 2016, but it's still relevant. I think it's from AppleVis. One of the
AppleVis.
I'm not a big fan of
that
certain
one,
things
okay.
that they do, but this one was pretty good. I mean, because every time I go on AppleVis and go to the Mac session, they're always bad mouthing the Mac, and I just can't stand it because it's always a Windows user who doesn't know what the heck they're talking about, and they haven't taken the time to sit down with the Mac. That's the problem.
Well, there's
You
still
can't-
people out there saying the
Yeah.
Mac's not accessible. So
Exactly.
I
You-
love the Mac.
You can't
I
learn
don't
the
have
Mac in
time
one
for
day.
that, because what he has first he has you just set one up with a microphone, which I would recommend that if people have never opened it before and they like hand holding, do that first, even if you don't need a
I was just
microphone
about to
recording.
say, it's just like with Amadeus. My boy Emilio, who told me about it years ago, about 5-6 years ago, finally talked me into starting to use it 2 years ago, and now I'm mad I took so long because it's a program like that has all these features, and you want to know how to do stuff, but the key is learn one thing at a time. Practice one
Start
thing
at the
a time.
beginning.
Yes.
I didn't need a recording of my stupid voice on my old Blue Snowball, but
Yeah,
It helped
just
me
learn
to-
one thing at a time, and then and then once you learn 2-3 things, then try to do those 2-3 things within a session, and then you'll get the hang of it. So, did you finally get Audio Hijack? Or you still poking around with other stuff?
I have still been deciding which package I was going to get. Whoops.
If I were you, I would go with the podcast bundle because that's what I did. Fission is probably never going to get used, but at the end of the day, it's better than buying the other three separate.
Yeah, it's ridiculous that.
And loopback by itself is 100, so it's right there is worth, or not loopback, or is it loopback? Yeah, loopback is the one that's 100.
I should have done that because
Yep.
loop
And
back.
then
I didn't know whether I was
if you're
going
on
to
their
need
mailing
loop back.
list, which I am, they'll send out a thing like 30% off of your entire purchase. That's what I did. I got 30% off, plus I bought the bundle, and I only paid $130 for all four. So.
Jeez.
Wow.
Well,
deal,
it's
'cause,
$165 for all four right now.
Yeah, and that's a deal because if you buy Loopback by itself, it's 100. If you buy Audio Hijack by itself, it's 60, and I think the other two are 20 and 30. So that's definitely a deal.
I
What's
might
the
soon
other
be
one?
wishing.
What's the fourth one?
It goes Fission, Loopback, Farrago, and Audio Hijack.
Okay, so what's Farrago?
Oh, that's the soundboard app. Oh my God, that's a godsend. That's where you can, and you use your keyboards to capture the sound or to play the sounds. So when I'm recording my podcast or anything for that matter, like when I'm doing my voiceover demos, I can just go over to that Farrago app and just hit a key and it'll play a sound effect for me. I don't even have to, insert it into the.
Man, I
recording.
should have bought the whole bundle.
Oh.
That Farrago is. Do you know what Backpack Studio is, Mary?
I've never used. This is the first time I've
I've
even
heard of
looked at
that.
audio
Yeah, Backpack
editing.
Studio basically is Farrago on the iPad and the iPhone. It gives you pads that you got to do, but it's just on the Mac. It's just much better to me because it's more laid out. With the Mac, you don't have to. I'm not gonna say that the phone makes you jump through hoops, but of course it's iOS versus Mac OS, so you got different options and things. Like for instance, I'll just go for a perfect example: Zoom. On Zoom. On the Mac, everything's in a straight line. All I gotta do is VO right and left, or use VOJ to jump to the table, the chat, and stuff like that. On the phone, you gotta double tap to go into, the participants.
Yeah.
You gotta double tap to go into chat. Then you gotta double tap to go into more. Yeah, you don't have to do all that. So that's just the perfect example of how much difference is laid out on the phone versus the Mac. So.
Yeah, that's
Like I could go into my I could switch because I have a loopback audio source or virtual device setup right now. I could go into Zoom's preferences, switch to that virtual device, and go to Farrago, and you guys will be able to hear all my sound effects that I use.
So Farrago just makes sounds.
Yeah,
Is that basically?
It doesn't make them. You have to load them in there. Like if I want hands clapping or a fail horn or a car screeching, I would just load those sounds into the corresponding key, and whenever I needed to insert them, I would just push that key. Yeah, and the thing I love about Loopback is that's the one that you can create virtual devices, so I can have my microphone, Farrago, and VoiceOver all in one thing. And if I go in there and load that right now, you guys would be able to hear Farrago and VoiceOver. I wouldn't even have to share my screen in Zoom. I could just load that virtual device for you guys to hear it. That's why
that's
costs
true.
so much.
That is nice.
Yeah,
that's
Loopback
nice.
is by far the most expensive, but I guarantee you, it's the easiest one to use. It is the easiest one to use.
What I do like about it is if you don't need a virtual device for a while, you can turn them off and they're not in your way until when you need them again.
Anybody use anything else besides the Rogue Amoeba suite? Like, I mean, I know Eden said he uses Logic. Like I said, I've touched on it a little bit, but I haven't really got into it. There's actually a 90-day free trial that you can get from Apple's website. Actually, I already have the DMG saved. I'll put it in the folder if anybody's interested in trying it out for 90 days to see if they want to pay that $1.99 in the App Store.
It's expensive, but you know what? If you compare it to things like Reaper and Sonar and those things, it's really for what you get.
I considered Logic versus Amadeus Pro versus Reaper, but I keep hearing that Amadeus Pro is the better choice.
Well, Amadeus is a audio editing. I don't know, Eden, do you do audio editing in Logic too? I've just saw Logic as a musical creator per se, not an audio editing tool per se. So correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you can certainly do audio editing, and it's very similar to GarageBand, just much more accessible. So it's going to be a much easier task if you just learn it that way. And then at the same time, once you learn that, you can actually choose to use GarageBand, Logic, or Fission because they use the same sort of way to manipulate some of the data. Yeah.
The one thing I want to know about Logic, though, is what I was talking about before. I know you use the keyboard to do tunes and stuff, but can you use the keyboard to navigate to loops and combine them and make tracks like people do with Garage? Because I know the Sighted World uses the trackpad and on their iPad to use the touchscreen. But is it accessible for us to combine loops and create songs and tracks if we want to without using a mini controller or an external keyboard?
Oh, yes, certainly. If you talk about the loops in the loop browser, yes, certainly. Those are, you can certainly copy them to certain destinations and paste them. And in fact, if you use the keystrokes over at logicband.com, there's much more shortcuts in there than you get out of the box. So you're going to get much more hands-on control over many aspects.
Keystrokes, or are they just a free file you get to download?
Just a free file that you have to paste in the right destination, and off you go.
So why don't you give us some, because this is an audio editing workshop, so why don't you tell us what the website is and where we would, once we download them, where do we go to paste them if we try out this Logic Pro demo that I'm going to put in the audio editing folder. It's free for 90 days. Basically, you just put it in your downloads folder, VO spacebar on it, open open it, install it. It'll put it in an applications folder and delete the DMG for you. Once you open it, it's going to ask you if you want to download additional sounds and stuff like that. Of course, you're going to tell it yes. Depending on your internet connection, it may take up to an hour because it's about, if I'm not mistaken, 45 to 58 gigabytes of loops and sounds that it has. But after that, it's all downloaded, and if I'm not mistaken, you could actually use those in not Logic, but GarageBand if you so choose. But tell us how we get those scripts or those keystrokes and where we put them at.
Okay, so you go to logic.band, and there they have lots of tutorials from a voiceover perspective, and they have a YouTube channel, and then the keystroke file is there, so you download it, and then in your user folder there will be a Logic folder and inside the Logic folder there will be a keystrokes or keybands folder or something to that effect, which you have to paste it in. Then you will have to open the program, go to the Logic menu, and there will be a keystroke menu where you have to choose to select the correct keyboard layout. And they also give you instructions there if you get confused, and there's an email list and all that kind of stuff.
I've been considering Logic for a long time. The one thing that shied me away from it is not the price, but the accessibility. But now that I know it's accessible, I have no problem paying for something that I can use. It's just I hate paying for something and I'm only going to use 10% of it, or I'm only going to be able to use 25% of it. When I buy something, I want to be able to use it all. So that helps me a lot.
What I can tell you is that there's obviously still room for improvement, but if you look at what you can do with GarageBand currently and the way you have to do it versus the steps you can take with Logic, man, you can't almost compare basic tasks in the two. So it's really worth it.
Okay, great information.
I'm using Amadeus and I love it. Everybody said, a lot of my friends said, go to Reaper. You're going to like it better. It has more commands. It's much more versatile. But for me, just for doing podcasts right now, I haven't gotten hijack yet. I'm still
going off of
that.
that, what you just said about your friends telling you to go to Reaper, have they told you why? Because I have the files, I have the tutorials, and you, I've talked to people who said that Reaper trumps Amadeus, but Amadeus does what I wanted to, or what I needed. Yeah.
Reaper has like hundreds of commands.
I was about to say, Reaper sounds like a program that does a whole lot that I'm not going to need.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of like Logic. In a sense, it's a music program mostly, which I want to get into. I'm going to get Logic, though. I think I want to go with Logic. I just got through talking with someone the other day who went to AppleViz and was reading stuff, and he was so upset because the comments that he saw about the Mac, and just recently, they're just horrifying.
It makes me hit the roof when I see that, because these are people that I know have never delved or touched the Mac for a significant amount of time. And everybody check out that folder, because I got a lot of great tutorials, audio and text on Amadeus.
Yeah.
There's one in there on Reaper. Like I said, I really have no desire to learn a new program right now, and to me, Amadeus does what I needed to do. So
I'll look at it. I want to learn Farrago. That is really exciting, because you can do like background music, right?
Yes,
and intros and stuff.
The only thing that I haven't figured out, and maybe one of you guys have that use it, Eden or anybody else, Farrago, I haven't figured out how to pause a track and have it continue from where I pause it, because sometimes when you pause it, it starts over. Like sometimes I want to play an audio clip of somebody talking and I want to say something in the middle, and I want to pause it and then go back to where I started, but it usually goes back to the very beginning. Maybe I can email my boys over at Rogue Amoeba.
Okay, so you go to the tile that you have the sound on, and then if you do VO Shift M in the menu, there should be a allow while pausing option there.
Oh, okay. You don't want to do it. Yeah, that's right, because there's a universal command, and then if you, like you said, if you go to the tile and then do, okay. All right. I have to set that up before I actually start recording or something there.
There's a piece of hardware coming out. It's along the same subject here. It's supposed to be out here in March, although they shipped it early. It's not officially released until March. It's called the Zoom R20, and it's supposed to be the first really accessible multi-track recorder.
Okay.
This is it's like an all-in-one audio interface,
Ooh.
multi-track, and recorder. Okay, it has a touch screen, and it had input to the design with Stevie Wonder. It was his idea to create it in the first place. He actually contacted Zoom and said, "This is what I'd like to see." So he helped. It was his idea, and it's supposed to be specifically designed to work with voiceover.
Are we to assume that everybody on here knows who Stevie Wonder is? Because I mean, there might be some youngsters here. I don't know. Because I know who he is.
Right? It's like you can record on 8 tracks and you can play on 16 tracks.
Whoa.
Wow. And I'm assuming it's going to work with the Mac. Otherwise, you wouldn't be telling us about. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, when you say multi-track, like not multi, but record on 8 and play on 16, are you saying that when you plug it into the Mac, that you can pull different sources directly into these sources?
You can record. I mean, you can record from your phone. You can record from your Mac. You can record from multiple microphones. You can do it all.
Okay. Do you have a price point for us?
$3.99.
And what is it called again?
It's a Zoom R20.
Zoom R20.
Wow.
Okay,
and
so
you can look at it on Zoom, and you can look at it on Sweetwater.
Okay, but
go ahead, Eden.
As far as the built-in stuff, does it have like a built-in recorder which is usable, or is it purely just meant for USB connection?
Nope, you can look at it. It's got built-in software, plus you can use it with all your existing hardware and software.
Does it have any built-in effects? Like
yes,
most pictures. Wow.
Yes, it does.
Wow.
Now, when we're talking about built-in effects, will those effects be able to be pushed to your, like, say, on the Mac, if we wanted to record there instead, we'll be able to push it the other way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you can, and you can actually use it with your guitar or bass.
Ooh.
The first.
Yeah, that was my next question. If it had an XLR, is that what it's called? Connection?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. And the first input, I forget the exact term, the musical term or recording term, but the first input is actually set up so you can plug. It's XLR or 1/4 inch, so you can actually plug your guitar or bass, which I play both. You can plug directly into from your guitar or bass and not have to bother with the amplifier.
Wow.
Is that safe to assume that there's an amplifier built into it, or is that
yes? Yep.
So it won't have voiceover obviously built in. You have to connect it to a Mac or an iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But once it's plugged in, I'm assuming voiceover will be able to allow you to navigate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's jump over to this other subject that we've been talking about on the list, Downy. I use it. I've been using it for like 2-3 years.
Is it really easy to download YouTube videos?
Oh, yes.
In the regular format?
Yeah, it is. But don't download
all you do is grab the link and paste it in. Whether it's a playlist or a video or a single file, it'll download it like.
Ooh, a playlist. Oh, nice.
Yes, it'll do a playlist.
And it will separate them for you too.
Yeah, it will, and
really?
and it'll have the same titles.
Yep.
It'll have the titles,
everything.
And everything. And the only thing that what was I going to say about it? That it tells you that you have to paste to drag and drop it, but you don't.
You don't. You're just pasting.
You don't.
Right
you can just copy and paste it.
My tip though would be is if you want just audio, select that first.
That's right. That's what I did.
Command 3. And then it'll just make it MP3. Otherwise, it's going to download it as MP4, and you'll have to convert it anyway. So just select MP3 first, which is Command 3, and then you'll be good.
Boy.
Some people say you can. I haven't tried it yet, but some people say you can actually go to Hulu and Netflix and download their movies that way. I don't care because I can audio hijack that anyway, but, you know.
With Downy, do you have to? Does it download them at in real time, or does it download them like really quickly?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't play them if that's what
It
you
doesn't.
mean. It
You
just
don't have
downloads
to
them.
play it. You just
just
download it.
downloads
Wow, and it's
So that's nice. You don't have to sit and write.
That's
Cool.
20
How
bucks I
much
ever
is this
spent.
program?
Huh? $20, the best $20 I ever
$20.
spent.
It's the best $20 you'll ever spend.
Once you download a file, it happens quickly, and then you will find a notification, and it will make that ding sound, and you'll know it's complete.
Right.
Unless you turn it off like I did.
But
'Cause it was getting
yeah.
Okay,
The other thing you got to watch though is that
Thank you.
they sell all kinds of other stuff,
Yeah.
and so if you're not really paying attention, you can buy a monthly subscription to something or other. So
Oh,
you have to be
God.
careful when you use their website.
Okay, Downy, DOWNIE.
NIE.
Yep. There were some people here before that were using something called WavePad. Dave was here, but he left. He uses GoldWave on the iPhone. I use GoldWave on Windows. I actually liked it, but they never made a Mac version, and then they came out with Amadeus, so I gave it an afterthought. I don't like editing audio or video on my phone, for that matter. So I really,
I think it's really.
it's
You
just,
can
it's
do it,
doable.
but you got to double tap everything.
Right,
Ugh.
exactly. It's just so much easier to do. With
I know
keyboard.
it's the lazy way of, you can say I don't want to do it, but
And I'm gonna
you
be,
can't.
and I'm gonna be
And
lazy
you
for
can't
life,
do
so.
fine editing either, Cliff. Really,
It's
really
true,
fine.
yeah. But I found that GoldWave on the iPad doesn't seem to work very well. I think the best, if you want to go that route, will still be Fairlight and Accusay.
Now, I was
Yeah,
talking to
I do
somebody
that.
the other day that said that, I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, but I know it's a free with an in-app purchase on the phone and iPad called HakuSite.
Yeah,
or
I
whatever.
heard that Fairlight's
Yeah.
better.
No,
Yeah.
HakuSite. Somebody told me that HakuSite lets you use on the iPad, and I don't even know about the iPhone because I didn't ask her. But I know on the iPad, she said it lets you use keyboard commands.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes, both of them actually does if
Yeah.
you want, and if you don't, there's enough ways with the rotor as well as other gestures to do it as well.
Oh. But Fairlight is the one, right? HockeySite's the older program, right?
Fairlight is a good one. My buddy over at TTJ, he uses that, and he loves it. That one's a $30 in-app purchase. He claims it's worth it, but you know, all of us have different meanings of how much something is worth. So I think $6 for a fish fillet at McDonald's is too much. So anybody can record these. Anybody can schedule these. I have a pro account, so it's gonna last longer than 45 minutes. But anybody can schedule these. So y'all got a question that you think needs a little more attention than a email exchange, and hey, say let's meet in Zoom tomorrow and go over this or whatever. It's not a big deal.
By the way, has anybody used SoundForge for the Mac?
I don't even know there's a Mac version.
Yeah, it's been there for several years.
What is
And
it? Is that some DJ software?
Yeah, it was Sony. There was an app. There was a podcast about it several years ago, I think 2015 or something, on AppleViz. And this guy was saying it was very accessible. We used it when I worked at radio stations. We used it for Windows, and it was a good one-track, software. It worked for radio. But I was just curious if anybody's used it for the Mac.
Any more questions from Judy? Eden, you've been a great resource of information. I can't wait to go to Logic. What did you say? Logic.
Band. I wrote it down.
Yeah,
Logic
Logic.band, yeah.
Band.
Logic
That's
Band,
great.
okay.
Wow.
Logic.band. That's really cool.
So when you do the Command G and and punch in where you want to go, you want to go Command Shift Y, because that moves insertion to it moves the playhead to insertion point. But the Command Y, when you want to find out where you are, is called you're moving insertion point to playhead. So there's a big difference. The Command Shift Y will move it to where you want it to go, but when you want to find out where you are, you do the Command Y by itself.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Thank
I just
you.
want to make sure that we were clear on those terms, because they do two different things. And I don't know if you know this, because I didn't know until about 3 weeks ago. If you hold down, make sure I do it right. If you hold down function, command, no, that's option. Command or function option, and you hit the left or the right arrow, that'll take you all the way to the end to your file. So you say, oh, you know what? I've done all the editing I'm going to do. Let's see what the ending sounds like. You can do hold down function, option, the right arrow, and then when you get to where the end, you want to hit the left arrow a few times, because if you try to play it, of course it's not going to play because it's at the end. Then that's when you would do command option Y again to bring that insertion point to that place where you move that left arrow back to, and you'll be at the end of your file.
Wow, that's really neat. What would that be for me on the external Apple keyboard?
It's going to be do you have the one with the numpad?
Yes.
So it's going to be the same keys. You're just going to have to play some gymnastics a little bit. So it's going to be the option, function, and then of course the right arrow to go to the end, and then the left arrow a couple times by itself to go back. Because
I have to do the function no matter what.
it has to be the function. Yeah, unfortunately, you may. I have not tried this, but you may be able to go all the way to the end with voiceover and the function key. Or maybe you can use the control, or maybe you can use the go to the end command on your numpad. I don't know. I don't have a numpad, so that's something you're gonna have to try and let us know.
Thanks for having this for us.
This has been
All right,
great.
y'all have a good one.
Yep.
Thank you.